All right, here we are. Hi, Mickayla. Happy Wednesday.
Hello there. Happy Wednesday to you too.
We are here streaming live for Patchwork Therapy, and today I have a special treat because we have child therapist Mickayla joining us today to share a little bit about herself, and we'll get to know her.
Happy to
So,
be here.
how's your day going so far?
It's going pretty well.
I
It's
know.
a it's a little gloomy, but nothing too bad. None of the crazy stormy weather. So a
Where I
little
am,
bit of sunshine goes a long way.
yeah, I was just thinking like where I am at, like it's super sunny and beautiful compared, and everything is real green because of all the rain. So
Hmm.
it's kind of nice. Although it's very muggy,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Um, so let's see what should we talk about for wellness? How was your week? Did you go to the Pride Fest in Elmhurst?
I did. It was a warm one, but it was so nice to see how many people showed up and how many people were just like connecting with each other and supporting each other. It was just a fun time. Um, Good food, a lot of just like festive spirits, I would say.
Oh yeah, what kind of food did they have? Did you end up getting?
Um, I saw some really great chicken tenders. I'm a chicken tender person, so
Oh,
like I
that's
had to go for it.
a connoisseur of chicken tenders. Is that your weakness?
Absolutely. It's my go-to.
All right. Well, cool. Yeah, I've heard that the weather, I think the last Wellness Wednesday we had with Andrea, she was saying that those events are always, the weather is always unique or always throws its own thing out there. Some years it's torrential downpours and sometimes. So this year was the
We
heat.
we did have a moment where our tent almost flew away a couple of
Oh, fun.
times. A good gust of wind got up under it, but luckily we got it back down to the ground
All your
and we all
helpers
stayed fine.
grabbed a stake and to
Everyone took a corner and just we took care of it.
oh, tents and wind. Yeah, that's always its own fun thing. So, yeah, let's get to know you a little bit and introduce you to people that might not have gotten to see your face and chat with you before. Tell me about yourself. Do you want me to ask
So,
questions, or you think you could?
I could share a little bit about myself. I'm sure I'll miss pieces that could be helpful.
Okay.
Um, I am a child therapist. I've been at Patchwork for a year, seeing kids up through late teens. Um, I personally have history in grief work, um, and just connecting with people after they've experienced loss. Um, and I would argue we all experience grief on a regular basis. We just don't know the name for it sometimes. Um, but that is its own story. Um, I really am passionate about doing therapy in creative ways because sometimes it's hard to just sit and talk. So I like to think outside of the box when we can and create space to have the hard conversations, um, even if that means being a little bit flexible. I also am a human, believe it or not, and I try to do normal life things. So I am really big into taking walks in nature. If there are trees around me, I am 10 times more comfortable. Um, and just spending time with like friends and family. And I have a rambunctious dog that loves to just be attached to my hip. And I'm not complaining about that at all. So there is plenty of life going on all the time.
I think I remember when I was in your office, that you have like a whole shelf of really cool toys that people can pick from?
Yes. My office is full of things to do and activities. I have
Are you on a
an
laptop
ever-growing
or
collection of games.
a desktop?
I'm on a laptop.
Can you turn us around? Can we see?
Absolutely.
Can we have a can we have a little tour of your office?
So I got some puppets and a dollhouse. There's a kitchen setup where the sun is shining. You don't see all the blocks, but I also have board games on my shelf and sand and all of the good stuff.
Now we have to wait for the light to readjust to you. Yeah, your office nice and bright today. It's beautiful. Yeah. And so you said you work with children up to what age?
So the youngest I am currently seeing is about 6 years old, and I go up through late teens. So I have um, on the verge of early adulthood or young adults.
And do you just work with the kids or do you work with the families too? Like how does that work? Can you tell me?
Yeah, great question. Um, I think that a child doesn't function in isolation. So working with parents and providing that collective support is really important too. Um, I like to partner with the parents and see how we can work as a team to support their kiddo. So that means that sometimes I'll do parent sessions or family sessions to make sure it's meeting the kids' needs.
So that things are carrying over and into that space as well and they have the right tools.
Right. I only see the kid for an hour a week or so, and the parents see the kids all the time. So it is just as important, if not more, that they have some tools and resources on top of the kids that I get to work with.
Yeah, for sure. Um, are you from this area? Have you always lived in this area?
I am born and raised in Illinois. Um, I lived about 20 minutes away my entire life. So this is close to home for me.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, let's see. I don't know. I am trying to think of all of the questions I want to ask you.
Sure.
Um, well, why did you become a therapist? Is that a good
That
one?
is that is a really good question. Um, Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a helper. And um, in elementary school, I experienced a major personal loss, and that just really solidified for me that I wanted to support other people. And then going into middle school and high school, a lot of the people around me, a lot of the people I cared about had mental health concerns. And a big part of me was I wanted to be a part of the solution and not the problem. I wanted to support people and try and figure out ways to make sure that they were feeling the way that they should be feeling or could be feeling, um, and just make sure that nobody felt like they had to go through it alone. So in high school, I pretty much decided I wanted to take a mental health track, which led me to going to undergrad for psychology and then grad school for social work. And here we are now.
And and you're finally in the place you need to be. You're doing the work that fulfills you and that helps other people. I know you're definitely a big helper now, for sure. Um, I'm trying to think. What are some of the other questions that we do? Do we ask like what your approach is? Is that something you could share?
I can share that. Um, my approach I kind of take an eclectic approach. I kind of come at it from many different angles. Um, I have taken a lot from cognitive behavioral therapy and thinking about how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors interact with each other. Um, but I also have learned a lot from expressive arts and using art in therapy and play therapy. Um, so it's kind of this mixture of all of the above to really create a person-centered approach. I want to meet a person where they are and how they best take in information and can process things. So I will adapt my sessions or the activities that I have in mind, or create brand new ones to match the person I'm talking to.
And if someone was thinking about therapy, or um, what would be your advice to the family? Like if they, so you said you deal with grief and loss a lot. So is that something like if your family has gone through loss, like don't wait for the signs to show up, or don't wait for, or I'm not a therapist, I don't know what the right terms are, but like if your family is grieving at some kind of loss or something, seek help right away, get a therapist involved so that you can tackle those things become before they come big things, or before they, is that?
I think the more important piece of that is that going to therapy is not a consequence or a punishment for not processing things well on your own. Um, Life is really hard, and everybody goes through seasons that just don't make sense. And sometimes we can sit there and try to white knuckle it and try and power through it and do it on our own. Um, and that's very possible. And you can do it for a lot of people in a lot of situations. Um, there are definitely times where it is helpful, if not necessary, to get some support to make sure that you are genuinely okay. And that's not a negative thing. It is not something that you need to be ashamed of or tiptoe around or hide about. Um, Coming to therapy is just saying that life is happening and you get a non-biased person to kind of process things with, which we don't get very often. We don't have an hour where we can just sit and talk about ourselves in many places, if any. But therapy, we get to do that. We get to focus in on ourselves only and worry about that first.
Hmm. um I know that in life as a child or at any age, we don't get handed a playbook on how to deal with all of the things that we have to deal with. And it's nice to have a friend, a
Mm.
therapist that will listen to the things that you're going through and help you sort out all all of it, and offer some tips and tools to help you get through those things.
I think, especially in grief and loss and change, there are a lot of things that are left unsaid because people are uncomfortable. Those aspects of life can be really touchy subjects. Um, and therapy is a great place where you can come in and talk about your worst days, and your therapist isn't going to like book it out of the room or get super uncomfortable. That's what we're here for. We're here to sit in it with you and be alongside you as you go through your own journey. Um, and I just think that I'll get on my tangent a little bit, but grief and loss is so confined a lot of times in that um, we don't recognize how every little change has the right to impact us. And grief can happen anywhere. It can happen when your favorite pair of shoes finally breaks and you have to buy a new pair. It can happen when you're moving, when you outgrow your clothes, when, your favorite show gets canceled. Like those are all things that you get so accustomed to and so used to, and all of a sudden there's a change and you have to adjust and get used to that. And if those things can affect us, how much more can the big things affect us of like major life changes, um, losses, things that are really important and key to our lives? If they impact our life when they're present, they impact our life when they're not. Um, so I think grief and loss is one that resonates with me, um, that I want to make sure that other people can see that one, they're not alone, they aren't crazy, their experience isn't atypical. And two, that there are people that want to hear about it and want to acknowledge those challenges.
Well, I think even like you were saying, even things that might seem as insignificant as like the having to change shoes or something. Um, I've noticed a big one right now happening is the end of a school year, and for especially for children, like the loss of that teacher and that class and
Mhm.
that routine, and then like and the anxiety or the anticipation of the next chapter, whatever grade that's going to be, and whatever teacher or friends that's going to bring. And that's such a transition time right now that kids are going through for sure.
Absolutely. Summer is a huge transition, especially for schedules and routines and this sense of normalcy. It makes sense for there to be this transition phase of anxiety or um, even like questioning certain things because, maybe they aren't seeing their friends as often as they were in school. So, kind of questioning, well, are they still my friend? Can I still talk to them? Is that still comfortable? Maybe they're in a new camp with a bunch of new people, and that can be really scary and intimidating. And just like, yes, summer is this time of fun and excitement and sunshine and like so many great things. But that's not to say that there aren't some challenges mixed in with it, uh, that are very valid and actually make a lot of sense when you can zone into, oh my goodness, they went from, you know, months of school with a strict schedule and consistently seeing the same people and doing similar things every day and kind of having a set routine and schedule and plan to summer, which is vacations and different places and who am I staying with? Who am I seeing? Where am I going? What am I doing? There's a lot of questions that can come up during that time and a lot of stress that can happen.
And what am I having for lunch today? even
Right.
even like the little things that like you relied on, like, oh well, I was gonna go to cafeteria and have my lunch or whatever.
Mm.
And now it's like, oh, we have to plan for all of these things in a different way for sure. Yeah.
Luckily, many people, including a lot of kids, are really good at adapting and adjusting. Um, but friendly reminder that there's room for grace when the transition is hard.
Hmm. That's neat. Um, boy, I think I got off into I got interested in hearing that story. I don't know what else I want to ask you. That's I like your approach for that. I think that's really beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
we are live, so I'll just say like if anybody has questions for Mickayla, go ahead and post them, and we'll try to bring you in and chat with you. If anybody's watching live now, or if you have questions and you're watching this later, you can always message us, and we'll take care of those. Um, do you have anything coming up this week? I know 4th of July is next week. What do you have on your on your schedule?
That is a great question. Maybe the hardest one you've asked.
Oh boy, yeah.
Um,
Well, what day is today? That's
Today's Wednesday. That's
that's what
the
I have
big
to
question
start
at
that.
first.
What do I have going on today? And then I can figure out the next. I don't even, sometimes it's hard to even plan that far out or to have
I
to check.
think the big exciting thing on my personal agenda is a nice do nothing day scheduled over the weekend.
Ooh.
Getting back on track, doing my own self-care for a little bit, and trying to just take in a day off.
Well, hopefully the weather allows you some of those walks with your pup in with the trees.
We'll see.
I hope
I
you don't
also
get
know
sick
my
on
family is a camping family, so we will be in Wisconsin around 4th of July. So if I have to hold out another week, I guess I can.
you know, I have found that like I've been working all day and staring at and doing my routines and my things, and I was like, I need to get up and I need to go, like, I'm gonna just walk outside just for 5 minutes and like just stand there and let the sun hit my skin and just breathe for a second, and like even
Mhm.
just a 5 minute little, like, I was like, okay, I think I can sit down and do 4 more hours of of work today.
It kind of feels like we're joking when we say that nature really makes a difference in our mental health. But it's so true that, stepping outside, getting some sunlight, changing your environment ever so slightly. Like if you get the chance to take a walk, just the process of movement can kind of work into your system and change how you're feeling. Um, and it works wonders sometimes. And it feels unbelievably fantastic when it works well.
Physical and mental health, like it all, like it's huge for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. um let's see, I think Patrick has some stuff coming up. Let me take a look at our
Mhm.
calendar. We're coming to the end of the month, which means our July calendar will be out on the socials very soon, so people have to keep an eye out for all of the fun things coming up in July. Let's see, before I throw June, before I'm done with June, I think, oh, swim a lap day was Monday, so I guess this week is a good week. Now that the rain has stopped, to get out and get some swimming in at a pool or at the lake, or water is I feel is one of those parts of nature for me. That's where I love to be, in the water. Um, And then we have movies in the park coming up again in July. They did the Lorax this like a couple weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. That was really, looked like a really fun event. I'm wish I could have been there. Maybe we'll have to make this next one. It's so nice to, like you were saying, be out in nature, sitting outside with people, watching a cute movie. And we
Mhm.
have uh, our therapists, Emily and Julie, are starting a caregiver group for parents. And the first like introduction to that is going to be in July, to for people to meet with them and learn a little bit more about that group on the 21st, which is a Sunday. Um, I think those are our big things. There's going to be more information for all of that out on our social media. Yeah. Oh, and we have oh, there's always so much going on around the office. I'm sure you know.
Yep.
Like it's summer and things are moving, and people are we have two new therapists in the office now. Two Jennifers, both Jennifer. So that's really
It
fun.
is, it's so nice to have such a full team on my end to be able to work together with such wonderful people and be able to trust that other families, other individuals are in good hands. It's beautiful to get to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, for sure. It's really a nice environment that you guys all get to be together and be working towards helping everybody be happy and healthy. So that's really cool. Um, well, I will. I'll let you go. Thank you for meeting with me and sharing. And like I said, if there's anything anybody else has questions that I couldn't think of that they'd like to ask Mickayla, um, we can we can share those with her offline if you would like, or reach out and schedule an appointment for your kiddo if you need a good therapist. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.